Some cartoon girlfriends are a bit rubbish. Others are so unbelievably awful that the universe itself usually decides to step in and ruin their lives. From women getting taken out by an actual dinosaur to completely destroying their own lives in ways so ridiculous they almost don't seem real. Today, we're looking at the worst cartoon girlfriends in cartoon history and the absolute insane ways that karma finally caught up with them. We're kicking off with Invincible, specifically with the girl that caused more arguments in the fandom than there was in the whole show. That's right, Amber Bennett. And the whole time she knew exactly what she was doing. And on paper, she's easily the best girlfriend in this video. The first time we meet her, she's putting a bully in his place on Mark's behalf. That shows she's got principles, and she won't be afraid to put anyone in their place that hurts her man. In general though, she just seems to be a really pleasant person. The kind of girl that volunteers at a soup kitchen and is absolutely lovely to people that she loves before she's got any reason to be. She's the one you bring home to your mum.
Good for you, Mark.
And then Mark takes her on a college tour and the whole thing goes in the bin. They're walking around the upstate university when Rihanna men tear the place apart. Mark being Mark, he vanishes for about 10 seconds, handles all of it, and saves every single person on that campus, including the girl he came with. Then he jogs back over as Mark Grayson, out of breath, ready to be relieved that she's alive. And after all that chaos, you'd think she'd be grateful and happy that everyone's safe, considering that half the time a superhero shows up, at least 5% of the local population is turned into bloody smudge on the sidewalk. Instead, she's absolutely fuming with him.
The police are on their way.
Where the hell did you go?
I ran for help. I tried to get security, but there wasn't anyone.
Lying piece of
Wait,
shit.
no.
If that isn't bullshit on its own, then you just wait. It gets f***ing worse. The drive home is completely silent. The whole way as the two just sit in awkward silence for an hour. And when they finally get to hers, Mark decides he's had enough of the lying. Flies up to her bedroom window and does the dramatic reveal, telling her the truth that he's invincible. And she already knows. In fact, bombshell, she's known for months.
Did you hear what I just said?
Ugh, I know you're a superhero.
You know. You know?
I'm not an idiot. I figured it out weeks ago.
Then
Now, go and watch that campus scene again. She knew he was invincible before they ever set foot on that campus. She watched him leg it to save everyone, knew exactly where he'd gone, and exactly what he was doing while he was gone, and still stood there in front of everybody yelling at the man who saved all of their lives. So why the hell would you do that? Well, we reckon she wasn't actually angry that he'd left. She was angry that he wasn't telling her. And rather than saying so like a normal person, she made him stand there and take a kicking in public for saving people's lives until he cracked. She squeezed a confession out of the lad and let him think he'd done something wrong to get it.
why are we fighting?
We're fighting because you lied to me. You made me feel stupid and unimportant.
It's a secret identity.
And because you don't trust me.
I'm trusting you now.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the?
And then dumps him for lying while sitting on the exact same lie from the other direction. They were both capping. She just got there first and decided hers didn't count. Now, to be fair, the lad did lie to her constantly, and being kept in the dark by someone you're seeing is a completely fair thing to lose your head over. Nobody's arguing that, but you don't get to sit on your own secret for months and then bill him for honesty like it's a debt only he owes. So what does she get for it? Well, karma takes its sweet time with this one, because by season 2, the relationship's running on fumes. And then Anissa turns up, a Viltrium, and she picks Amber up by the throat in the middle of a restaurant. Not because Amber's done anything, but purely to make her point to Mark. And that's the moment it dies, because it finally lands that being with Mark means being the thing that people grab hold of to get at him. She spent the entire relationship treating Invincible like a bad habit he wouldn't give up. Then Viltrium put a hand around her neck over a dinner table and showed her what it actually is. And by season 3, she's completely fine about it. Now things are healthier and they're even best mates, which means that she's got a front row seat while Mark falls in love with Eve.
Oh my God, Mark!
She's got the friendship ending that has to watch the real one happen about 4 feet away from her. And Eve never once made that lad apologize for saving people.
I told Cecil if he goes near you or Oliver or anyone else I care about, I kill him.
That one was properly frustrating, but this next one is downright tragic and sick. We're off to Family Guy, and easily one of the darkest examples of why someone watching your freak isn't always a good thing. She starts off when Quagmire takes his knackered laptop to get it fixed, and the pretty woman behind the counter named Sonia has a look at what's on it and doesn't judge him for it.
Personally, I'd recommend college Latinas. I mean, I want to see Latinas, but I also want them to
Speak
speak
English,
Yes, exactly.
Wow, so you're into that kind of stuff too?
Uh-huh.
Honestly, that's wife material for Quagmire right there. There's no better way to know a man than through his browser history. And for someone like Quagmire, that's enough to get him hooked. Except, you have to be seriously sick in the head in your own special kind of way not to flinch at the that Quagmire brings to the table. Sonia's got her own kinks that she's not done enough work buffing out. She drugs him on the first date. He wakes up in the morning, cuffed to the bed with no memory of the night before. And the conclusion this man draws is that he's found the love of his life. Then it escalates. She starts beating him, and he turns up at the Drunken Clam with 2 black eyes. Naturally though, Peter is too thick to notice a man sitting directly in front of him with his face rearranged.
No, she's not. Everything's great with us.
And then she pulls up outside the pub, beats him in the street where anybody could see it, and puts him in the boot of his own car, telling him the whole time that she's only giving him what he's always wanted. And that's what makes her the nastiest woman in this video. Everyone else on this list is guilty of neglect, manipulation, or being a selfish nightmare. Sonia's the only one committing actual crimes, and she's got a cover for everything too, which makes things so much worse. She worked out that Quagmire had spent his entire life being loud about what he's into, and she used it as cover. Who's going to believe anything when he's the victim? Nobody. She knew that before she ever handed him his laptop back. Things go wild from there, and he's missing for days. And what finally gets anybody looking is when Ida turns up worried, and Joe mentions they'd missed apple picking.
I'm a little worried about Glenn. I haven't heard from him in days. Have you seen him?
I haven't seen anybody. I've been grounded for pinching a girl.
Everyone knows that is about to escalate quickly as a search quickly follows the discovery that Quagmire is missing. They follow her reputation through the worst ends of Quahog, end up at a storage unit where they find Quagmire inside of it in the bins. Sonia corners the lot of them, takes Joe's gun off him, points it at his face, and pulls the trigger. And it clicks. It's empty.
What the hell?
And Joe, the f***ing badass that he is, just had a gun pointed at him, springs to action, tackling her and putting her in cuffs.
Like I said, you're going to jail.
And that's the end of her. In usual Family Guy fashion, you'd expect her to show up 5 seasons later with a new hairdo and a chainsaw. But this time, she's gone for good. Probably rotting in prison to this day. Every other woman in this video got dumped or found out or laughed at. Sonia's the only one who left in handcuffs, put there by the bloke she just pulled a trigger on. Right, and this next one is a proper brat. But we won't go too hard on her because she's just 10 years old, and we're not about to be weird about it. The Simpsons episode, Bart's girlfriend has everyone's favourite yellow troublemaker finally meets someone way above his pay grade after falling for a vicar's daughter running an organised crime ring out of a church pew. Bart's absolutely bloody whipped the second she opens her mouth and decides to sign himself up for Sunday school. After all, she must be into the good boys, right? So he goes the extra mile and does the full choir boy routine, only for her to blank him completely. Then he gets caught pulling a prank and lands 3 months of detention. That should be the end of it, right? It's the exact opposite. The same girl who couldn't give less of a when he was using his ass to mop the church floors now has all of her attention. The poor lad got screened for a criminal record and passed. And this is where he makes his mistake, because Bart genuinely thinks that he's the naughty one in this arrangement. Bless him. He has no idea that he isn't even in the same postcode. Bart does the pranks while Jessica does, well, crime. While Bart was making scary faces at the special needs kids, she'd already been chucked out of boarding school for a pipe bomb, a glee club brawl, exploding toilets, and nicking from the chapel collection plate. Remember that last one because it will be on the exam, by the way. It doesn't take long, though, before he starts to realize that maybe the little preacher girl might be the devil in disguise. It all starts when she dares him down a hill with live lorry crashes. That's already got him on edge. But then in the same day, she pulls the fire alarm at Springfield Elementary in the middle of a school day and causes actual panic. And every time, Bart's left to face the consequences while she stands there with her hands folded, looking like the front of a Christmas card.
Jessica, we just...
Oh, that's for besmirching an innocent girl's name!
Why?
I'm sorry, Bart.
And the show knows exactly what it's doing because it scores their little crime spree with Mizzaloo, the Pulp Fiction song, for a 10-year-old's first date. Somebody in that writer's room was having a lovely time. Then comes church, and to be fair to Bart, he actually tries to tell her to reel it in, which is more spine than anyone in this studio had at 10. I fancied a girl for an entire school year once and communicated it exclusively by not looking at her. So she waits for the collection plate to come around, empties every note into her handbag and drops the empty plate straight into his lap.
Fine. You just lost your cut.
I'll just take that. Everyone turn around and look at this.
She put the weapon in his hand and strolled about the courtroom. Friendly reminder that this little she-devil is 10 years old. Long story short, word gets out and the whole town turns on him. His own dad assumes that he did it. And it all leads to someone deciding it's a bright idea to put a 10-year-old in a straitjacket in church on a Sunday. And they shoot it exactly like Hannibal Lecter, which is a lot of framing to put on a boy whose actual crime was fancying someone.
We really shouldn't have let them do this. It can't be helping his self-esteem.
Obviously, the kid can't take much more of that torture, so he goes to the only person that knows he didn't do it to set him free. And what does she do after everything they've been through? She looks him in the eye and says no. Enter Lisa, who gets up in front of the entire congregation and simply points at her. And if you know anything about an angry mob, you know that's more than enough to send someone down to the pillory. They march straight over to Jessica's room and find the money under the mattress.
That's the collection money.
Oh yeah, smells like church.
Her parents are arguing, she's crying, and Bart is finally set free from being public enemy number one.
I did it. It's your classic cry for attention.
Except he's not, because if you know anything about being young and in love, you know that it turns you into an absolute f***ing moron.
Well, don't you see, Jessica, then you really haven't learned.
Would you finish scrubbing these steps for me?
Will I?
Speaking of people who should have been stopped years ago, let's talk about Courtney. This next one had her downfall build up slowly over 5 seasons. If you've watched Total Drama, then you'd know Courtney and Duncan's relationship started off brilliant. He spends an embarrassingly long time trying to loosen her up, while she gives him something to care about. And despite how opposite they are in every possible way, it genuinely works.
So then why do you follow them?
Because not following them gets you thrown into a fish cabin!
But all good relationships are eventually put to the test, and their exam comes during the $1 million case challenge. The challenge has them chasing a literal $1 million case as teams. Courtney, not looking to get her hands dirty, recruits Duncan with a kiss and has him do every scrap of the work. He hooks the case away from Lindsay's lot and then physically wrestles an alligator that swallowed it all to get the big bag for him as his girlfriend. And during all of his running around, he twists his ankle. Courtney, who's been carried by him through the entire challenge, takes the money and leaves him lying there, saying that she can't have him slowing her down.
Oh, you know you mean the world to me, but I can't let you hold me back. Sorry!
This lad fought a f***ing alligator for her, and she stepped over him like a wet paving slab. Then next season, she stops being a person and becomes a legal entity. She gets eliminated, so she sues the producers and lawyers her way back onto the show. And when she gets back in, she hands Duncan a list of everything about him she wants changed. The gall of this chick after what she's done to him.
But once I change these 47 things about him, he will be perfect.
Funny thing about that, by the way, she never even ends up showing it to him. She shows it to Gwen, of all people. If you have no idea why that is hilariously ironic. Gwen literally kissed Duncan just the day before. She's showing off a list of rules to the girl that had stolen her boyfriend, but that's not even close to the real payoff. We're just getting started. There's the press conference after they split, where she runs through everything wrong with him. Mostly his eating habits, while Duncan just says no comment over and over like a footballer leaving court. And then it comes out that she's suing him for custody of a pet. A lot of that spite mostly comes from that Gwen kissing Duncan thing, and being devastated by it is completely fair. Nobody's arguing against that. But look at what she does with it. She gets so locked onto getting Gwen out that she starts throwing challenges for her own team. The most competitive person in the history of that show deliberately losing out of spite. Unfortunately, though, it works, and Gwen gets the boot exactly as Courtney hoped.
Suck it, Courtney! In your...
Then comes All Stars, which is where the whole thing finally caves in on her. Gwen spends the entire season trying to fix it, apologising over and over, and Courtney holds her at arm's length, right up until Gwen mentions she's broken up with Duncan. And then they're suddenly best mates again. They both admit how much they've missed each other and promise to make the finale together. It's a lovely scene.
Friends? Totes. Friends forever.
Meanwhile, Scott is completely embarrassingly in love with her. So she's got one girl desperate to be her best friend and another desperate to be her lover. In Courtney's eyes, these are two pawns that more or less guarantee her the win. She goes in the confessional and calmly explains that she's binning Gwen off second from last and taking Scott to the finale, because she reckons he'll throw it and hand her the win. She's playing both of them at once. It sounds smart on paper, but she properly bottles it by going on to write her whole plan down on a chart like an actual moron. Mal gets a hold of the chart and shows the whole thing to everyone.
Oh, you haven't seen Courtney's chart. Huh? What chart? This one.
Gwen sees the entire plan in writing after a full season of trying to fix that friendship, and Scott finds his own name on it, and then clocks that she's drawn him with a tail. Both of them turn on her on the spot. Gwen simply calls off their alliance, choosing to save her own hide and finally forgetting this toxic friendship. Scott, on the other hand, is out for blood and spends the whole challenge trying to end her. Courtney tries to apologise and gets nothing back at all. With two people hunting her down, it's no surprise that she gets the flush of shame by the end of the episode.
You can't flush me yet! I'm still eating!
Courtney's the kind of girl that's probably gotten everything she's ever wanted in her life handed to her on a silver platter. And when she hasn't, she's just ordered someone to get it done for her. So it's only right that we flush that kind of trash down the toilet. Things may have gone a bit too far back there, but they are only going to get worse from here on out. This one's actually sad, so nobody make it weird. Let's head over to the land of Oo and take a look at the best Yuri ship in the West. Bonnie Bell and Marceline go back centuries, long before the show even started. They came up together in a post-apocalyptic wasteland, went everywhere in Oo together, and there's nobody else in either of their lives who's been around anywhere near that long.
This looks like a delivery tunnel from the old rock candy mines.
Huh, we haven't been down here in hundreds of years.
Somewhere during that time, Bonnie built the Candy Kingdom, and that's where it all went. Now, if you've watched anywhere past season 2 of the show, or hell, if you've been paying attention in season 1, you'd know 3 things about Princess Bubblegum. She's a brilliant scientist, a loving monarch, and a stubborn, hard-ass control freak. And every single one of those traits took a bite out of the relationship. Once she had something bigger in her hands to take care of, she stopped answering calls and stopped showing up in the relationship entirely. That leads to Marceline's entire personality for about 4 seasons, becoming Why Won't You Talk to Me? Season 3's What Was Missing has Marceline get on stage to perform a song directly at Bonnie about how controlling she is and what an absolute problem she's been, in front of everyone. Knowing everything we know about Bonnie, you'd think she'd fight back, but instead, she just stands there and takes it. It's weird. On one hand, it would probably be worse if she argued, because we all know she's the one that sucks in this situation. But on the other hand, say something, damn it. You're fumbling the vampire baddie here. And you know she's still got Marcy in her head, because we find out in season 5 that Bonnie is still sleeping in Marcelin's old shirt, years after they stopped speaking.
Okay, I'm up.
She'd rather keep the shirt than send one text. And honestly, that's PB's entire personality summed up in one nonsensical action. Emotionally unavailable and sentimental at the same time, which has to be the worst combination available on the market. And before anybody gets smug about it, that's the most relatable thing anyone does in this entire video. And we all know it. So let's get to the karma quickly, shall we? Nobody's done a lot, and we mean a lot of up shit in the show. And after all her tyranny, she finally loses the lot. The Candy Kingdom votes her out. She loses her crown of the King of Oo, who is a con man in a bathrobe, and gets exiled from the city she built with her own 2 hands. The city she picked over Marcelin. And of course, Marcy has to find out from a total stranger. She shows up to drag Bonnie out for a hangout and finds somebody else sleeping in her bed. That's how she learns her oldest friend has been deposed and exiled, because even then, Bonnie hadn't told her.
Marceline, what up?
Ugh, why didn't you tell me you got throne jacked? I gotta hear it from that wax fraud.
So they end up chasing varmints down into the rocky candy mines. And somewhere down there, Bonnie finally cracks and admits she's been exhausted for years. And Marcelin asks her the question straight out. Is that why you stopped talking to me?
Oh, the Candy Kingdom used to be so small, so manageable. Then it kept growing, and there was always some new disaster to prepare against.
Is that why you stopped talking to me?
No.
She traded the person for the kingdom. And then the kingdom held an election and picked someone else anyway. Every single thing she chose over Marcelin voted her out of the building. And the only one who came looking for her afterwards was the one she'd spent years pushing away. Good news though, and this one is the only entry here with a proper ending. Bonnie apologizes. I mean, like actually apologizes, which we were slowly starting to think was impossible for these damn characters to do. And by the finale, they're together and they're solid. 10 seasons of unresolved business sorted out in a tunnel full of vermin. She just had to lose an entire kingdom first to work out which of the two she actually wanted. And while we're on people who aren't quite villains, our next entry is the single kindest thing in hell, and somehow still ended up on this list. Instead of being a miserable waste of demonic skin like a lot of other folk in hell, she's down there trying to rehabilitate damned souls using trust falls, group sharing, and musical numbers. It's a corporate away day where nobody can leave and everyone's damned, which is either the most beautiful thing ever attempted or the single biggest cause of a relapse down there.
Oh, I've been thinking. Isn't there a more humane way to hinder overpopulation here in hell? Perhaps we can create an alternative way to change souls through redemption?
So why is she in the video? Because you don't have to be cruel to be an absolute piece of shit to someone. Sometimes you just have to be really, really busy. Vaggie has been with Charlie for 3 years. In those 3 years, she's been part girlfriend, part hotel staff. She helps with running the hotel, wrangling the quests, and also stands between Charlie and Alistair with an actual spear. All while swallowing angel dust, talking to her sideways while Charlie says nothing about it. She's done so much for her, all while Charlie does the bare minimum, at best, or is too busy to notice at worst. Then in the Heaven arc, when everyone's preparing to head up to the big pearly gates, Vaggie is visibly, obviously, painfully uncomfortable about the idea of going up there, and Charlie never asks why. She's so deep in her own plan that she doesn't clock her girlfriend losing her shit over the idea.
Prepared. It's our last chance to convince Heaven a soul can be redeemed.
Yeah, I wish I could come, sweetie, but I have that thing.
What thing?
And then they get to Heaven, and the reason she's been literally quaking in her boots gets thrown out in the open. Vaggie was a former exorcist. Now, of course, this is pretty big, you know, being the girlfriend of the Princess of Hell and all, but with everything she's done since she's been in hell for the hotel and for Charlie, you'd think they'd cut her some slack. Nah, Charlie quickly goes cold on her. Vaggie tries to sit down and actually talk about it, but she quickly gets brushed off. And then Charlie's off ranting to anyone who will listen about how Vaggie lied to her for 3 whole years. All of this bullshit being spewed out by the woman whose literal brand is giving second chances.
Years, 3 years I've been sharing my life with her, and I tell her everything. My hopes, my dreams, my insecurities, my embarrassing habits, what fucking deodorant I like.
That's the bit that does our heads in. She'll hand infinite grace to a stranger she met on Tuesday, but turn tail on the one person who's been in her corner since before the building had a roof. And then, in that exact same stretch, panicking, and on her own, Charlie shakes hands with Alistair. Yeah, she'd trust Alistair while in the same breath condemning her ride or die for a past she can't change, all because she's alone, desperate, and then there's also no one left in the building to stop her.
I tell you what I know. Do we have a deal?
Deal.
And look, we're not above this. This studio accepts terms and conditions at a speed that would frighten a solicitor. But we've never signed anything with a bloke whose smile comes with its own sound effect. And obviously, because she didn't read the damn fine print, that deal ends up coming back to bite her in the ass. In a later episode, Alistair uses the deal signed in a panic to escape his other contracts. And guess who could have stopped her from making such an obvious bloody mistake? Vaggie. She pushed away the one person who'd have looked at that handshake and actually read between the damn lines. We're not calling Charlie evil, but god damn it is she a hypocrite, and this isn't the only mistake that she's made. But this video isn't about Has-Been Hotel. That's a different rabbit hole entirely. Charlie only walked away with a bad contract. This next one gets the harshest run of karma in the whole video, and it ends somewhere genuinely unhinged. In Season 4, Episode 5, The Cleveland Loretta Quagmire, Peter and Brian accidentally find out that Loretta's cheating on Cleveland. And of course, who else would be the culprit than bloody Quagmire? The man is committing infidelity within walking distance.
So I guess the only thing left to do is tell you that Loretta Brown is having an affair.
Good lord!
No. Oh, God, I'm screwed. This is worse.
Obviously, Cleveland calmly heads up to confront Loretta about it. What does she do? She doesn't deny a single word of it. Hell, she doubles down, almost seeming proud about the whole thing. And if that isn't crazy enough, Cleveland apologizes to her.
For that, I apologize.
Apologize? I cheat on you and you apologize to me? Cleveland Brown, you...
We need a minute. She cheated, and he said sorry. Oh, and it gets worse, because she takes that apology and throws him out of his own house.
Goodbye, Cleveland.
I love you.
So, let's just summarize for those in the back that didn't pick that up. She cheated on him. He apologizes instead of her, and she throws him out, saying that she's keeping the house and Cleveland Jr. The raw audacity is almost as impressive as it is infuriating. And guess what, ladies and gents? It still somehow gets worse. Years later, over on the Cleveland show, Quagmire drops the detail that Loretta has been working her way through an entire roster of blokes before she ever got round to him. Donna reads the names out like she's calling out a squad of football players on the pitch.
Our wedding. Mayor West, Ollie Williams, Frank Sinatra Jr., the greased up deaf...
I think we've shown the court enough evidence to know that not only is this woman absolutely crazy, but she definitely deserves some karma straight out of the oven. And oh, does the hammer come swinging down hard. It comes for her in 3 parts, and each one gets heavier than the last. Part 1. Cleveland finally grows a spine, walks back in, takes the house and Cleveland Jr. and tells her he deserves better. And there's quite literally nothing she can do about it. So now she's the one out of house and home with no one in her corner. Then part 2 comes in season 7's look, Blackchally, where we find out that she's living on her own up in the hills. She's got no job and is still happily unmarried. So she comes back to Quahog, trying to get her only good man back. That sure as hell isn't working after everything that she put him through. So now she's begging for the man that she threw away. Peter even tries to set her up with Quagmire again, and she turns it down flat, saying she's changed and only loves Cleveland. And Cleveland, the ever-kind bloke, turns her down politely and tells her to go live her life.
And as much as I still have a great deal of love for you, our time is over. I love somebody else.
And then part 3. Everyone's paying attention because this is genuinely mental. Quick bit of context for anyone that hasn't sat through 20 seasons of this show. There's a running gag in Family Guy where Peter destroys Cleveland's house, and Cleveland goes riding out the side of the building in his bathtub down the street with not even an ounce of panic, because this is a normal weekday routine for him. It's one of the best gags that they've ever done, and it's been going on for decades.
No.
So, in the Cleveland show, Gone with the Wind, Peter accidentally drops a Brontosaurus skeleton on Loretta's house. And it's the bathtub gag, except she's the one in the tub. Unlike Cleveland, though, who could probably do kickflips with that bathtub if he tried, considering how gracefully he hides, Loretta isn't as talented. She falls out of it and breaks her neck.
Time for United States of Terror. No! Wait, what's that? Oh, look at her gross boobs.
The show killed her off using its own running joke. Jurassic Park spent 3 entire films trying to get a dinosaur to kill somebody that memorable. But if you think the beef is over, then you're dead wrong. In You're the Best Man, Cleveland Brown, it comes out that she left her entire estate to Cleveland Jr. with a specific written condition that not one penny of it ever reaches Cleveland. That's a level of pettiness and spite that's actually beautiful to watch. Speaking of people who have no idea how good they have it until it's gone, how about Bonnie Swanson from Family Guy? Now, Bonnie's an odd addition to this list because early in the show she was fine. She was the one going around telling anyone who'd listened that she was perfectly happy spending the rest of her life with Joe exactly as he is.
I knew what to expect, Joe's accident, and I'm prepared to live the rest of my life this way.
She deserves so much better than me.
And then somewhere in the back half of the show, the writers took her out the back, shot her, and replaced her with an alien that got a hate boner for her husband. That's not an exaggeration in the slightest either. She very quickly goes from loving housewife, making the best of what she's got, to a quiet, vindictive woman who's constantly trying to decide what brand of rat poison she's going to slip into his dinner tonight. There's an episode where she tells Lois she's been meeting blokes off the internet and then encourages Lois to go and cheat on Peter with Meg's teenage boyfriend. At that point, she stopped having an affair and started running a recruitment drive. Then there's the time they go to Paris and she cheats on Joe with a Frenchman called Francois.
You're playing with fire. No marriage is perfect, but Joe's the man you gave your life to. You really want to be setting this kind of example?
Then openly says she wants to focus on her own needs. Keep in mind, her infant daughter is sitting at home in Rhode Island. And then you've got the time she's down the shooting range, working out her frustrations on a disabled target. The point's being made pretty clear at this point. She hates her husband so bloody much. Probably because the magic of being with the disabled hero wore out a long time ago. So what does she actually get for all of this? Well, the show does serve her a hot plate of karma twice, and the second one is nastier than it looks. The first one's in the episode Internal Affairs, where Joe starts thinking about an affair of his own, and Bonnie's reaction to being on the receiving end of it for one episode is to walk out. For someone who's practically toured the world to cheat on her husband, she doesn't seem very good at receiving the same treatment.
You cheated on me? You bastard!
Bonnie, please.
After all I do for you, this is how you repay me!
And the second one is just her life, because she's still there in Quahog, in the same house with the same husband. Of course, she's tried leaving him, cheating on him and shooting him multiple times for that last one, but for all of her hard work, she just finds herself back in that damn kitchen making dinner for the man that she stopped loving so many seasons ago. It'd be tragic if not for how horrible a person she's been to poor Joe. And now the big one. And we already know exactly what half of you are typing, because Azula was never anyone's girlfriend. Correct. That's the point, because Azula is one of the most terrifying, competent, flat-out brilliant villains ever put on television. A 14-year-old tyrant with the power over lightning and blue fire who took Ba Sing Se, the most heavily fortified city on the planet, by walking in there and talking to them. She reads people like a menu and orders accordingly.
What are you talking about?
I can see your whole history in your eyes, so you've had to struggle and connive and claw your way to power. But true power, the divine right to rule.
And she attempted romance exactly once for about 10 minutes, and it remains the worst thing that ever happened to the Fire Nation. So 4 of them get shipped off to Ember Island for a holiday and end up at a house party. And do I need to point out that she wasn't actually invited to this thing? The 2 lads throwing it invited Ty Lee. Azula got in the way your mate's little sisters get into a nightclub. And once she's through the door, she decides she fancies the one hosting it, a poor unfortunate soul called Chan. Now, this is a girl who talked an entire city into surrendering, and she can't get through one conversation at a house party. I'd love to tell you I don't know what that's like, but I've done the exact same thing at every wedding I've ever been invited to. She opens with a compliment about his outfit. That's a pretty decent start. And then she takes that compliment all the way to the outfit puncturing a battleship hull and drowning thousands of people at sea. She threatened a navy.
That's a sharp outfit, Chan. You could puncture the hull of an Empire-class Fire Nation battleship, leaving thousands to drown at sea. It's so sharp.
Thanks.
Flirtatiously. The second-hand embarrassment we felt was unbearable. Then she clocks Ty Lee getting swarmed by guys, and instead of being happy for her mate, tells her that none of them actually care about her and calls her a tease, which obviously makes the girl cry, and then about 4 seconds later asks her for tips.
Come on, Ty Lee. You can't be this ignorant. Those boys only like you because you make it so easy for them. You're not a challenge, you're a tease.
Tips. That right there is Azula in one scene. Break somebody down, then ask them to help you back up. That's pretty much the summary of every relationship she's ever had. So Ty Lee, being far too nice about the whole thing, tells her to smile and laugh at whatever he says. And Azula heads off to practice and produces a laugh so loud that the entire party stops and turns around.
Hey there, sweet sugar cakes. How you liking this party?
That's the laugh of somebody who hasn't heard a single funny joke in their entire life. But somehow, against everything, it works. She gets Chan out onto the veranda, they flirt, and she gets her first kiss.
Your arms look so strong.
Yeah, I know. You're pretty.
Together.
She's done it. She's actually pulled. This has to be the only episode in the series that had us rooting for Azula of all people. And of course, like a high school nerd at the popular kids table, she blows it instantly. She tells him that together the 2 of them will be the strongest couple in the world and that they're going to dominate the earth with all the dramatic blue fire coming up behind her. She has as much grace as a bloke telling his Tinder date I love you before their first date. It's hard to watch.
You and I will be the strongest couple in the entire world. We will dominate the earth!
I gotta go.
Smartly, the man bucks it out of there like a bloody track star. Bloke went to a house party and accidentally sat through a Bond villain's opening monologue. So what does she do about it? She goes back to that house later that same night and destroys it. Rejected at a party, so she demolished the building. Classic Azula.
We've got some bad news, Chan.
Party's over.
And earlier that same day, she'd flattened a sandcastle some children built on a beach for absolutely no reason at all. Just so we're all clear on what we're dealing with here. Now, that's the funny version, but here's one that will ruin your evening. Years later, in the comics, a spirit shows Azula a dream of the life she actually wants. She wakes up back on Ember Island, and everyone who loves her is waiting on the beach for her. Her mum, her uncle, her dad, Zuko with no star, even 2 dead Fire Lords, and Ruan-Jan. Now, if that name means nothing to you, don't worry, because it barely means anything to her either. Ruan-Jan is the other lad from that party, Chan's mate, the one Zuko threw into a vase.
Stop talking to my girlfriend. Relax. It's just a party.
She spoke to him roughly never. That's the boyfriend her own brain came up with. A spirit offered her literally anything she wanted, and the best she could manage was some bloke that she saw once at a party she wasn't invited to. And it gets worse, because while her family are queuing up in this dream to congratulate her for conquering Ba Sing Se and killing the Avatar and becoming Fire Lord, Ruan Juan's contribution is to tell her that she smells nice and has got great hair. That is the most love she's capable of imagining in a fantasy built entirely for her, by her. Nobody actually says they love her because she genuinely does not know what that would sound like. And that's the whole problem, isn't it? Nobody ever showed her. Ozai never loved Azula. He valued her, and only for exactly as long as she was useful to him. And so that's the only way she knows how to keep hold of a person. Which brings us to Mai and Ty Lee, because those two were never friends. They were staff, recruited young, kept close, and reminded on a regular basis that she could destroy either of them whenever she fancied. And knock on the method, but it works for years. Right up until the episode The Boiling Rock, when Mai has to make a choice between Azula and Zuko, and picks Zuko. And when Azula moves to strike her down for it, Ty Lee blocks her chi and drops her where she stands.
Come on, let's get out of here.
The only two people who'd been at her side since she was a child chose each other over her, and there was not a thing she could do about it. Like, physically, there was literally nothing she could do about it except exist as a pile of sludge on the ground. So she throws them both in prison. Obviously, it's the only tool she's got in the box. And then she gets everything she ever wanted. Ozai names her his successor and swans off to burn down a continent, and she's about to be crowned Fire Lord of the entire world. And even with such a grand title, she's completely on her own. So paranoid by this point that she starts banishing her own servants, one at a time, over nothing, until there's not a single person left in that palace.
You're all banished.
But...
Goodbye. Please send in the next group on your way out.
And then Zuko and Katara walk in.
Sorry, but you're not going to become Fire Lord today.
You're hilarious. And you're going down.
And something crazy that we haven't seen a lot of people talk about is the fact that Azula is the better bender during that Igni Kai. Like, flat out. On raw ability, she should have just won it comfortably. But because Azula has already been reduced to a broken shell of herself, by the time her brother turned up, there was nobody left in her corner and not much left of her to fight with.
I can't explain it, but she's slipping. And this way, no one else has to get hurt.
14 years old, the most powerful firebender alive, and she'd spent every one of those years treating people like things she could pick up and put down whenever she felt like it. Then, on the one day it actually mattered, she looked around for someone to help her, and there was no one there, because she'd sent them all away herself. The worst consequence sometimes is just abandoning people to face the consequences of their actions. Hardly any of them got actually beaten. Jessica got pointed at in church, Amber got friend-zoned, PB got voted out of her own kingdom, Courtney got flushed down a giant toilet, and Azula sacked everyone who could have saved her. Turns out the best karma in animation is when everyone you've ever cared about walks out the door and never comes back. Anyways, we've definitely missed one. Somebody out there is already typing a name at us. Stick it in the comments and we'll do a second round. Cheerio!